record. And then welcome everybody. Let me flip over to screen number 1. Give you a plethora of flags. You have your choice. Carol, as a person who's not on mute, would you lead us in the pledge?
One in the middle, right there. That one right there.
Okay.
Right where I'm pointing.
Allegiance. You guys have to go off on mute.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Did you say there's either way?
It's always painful. It's always painful. Are there, I think what I'll do is maybe handle the announcements and stuff for after Arnie speaks, and then he doesn't have to sit and listen to all the stuff, all the little tidbits of the club. He can log off, do his thing and log off. Arnie Eastburn is from the Punta Gorda Rotary Club, and he is here to talk about Water for Life Mozambique. And I think, Deb, you probably have heard him at PETS, but the rest of us have not heard his message and would appreciate hearing what you have to say.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. I have a, I'm going to need you to enable the screen sharing, please.
Yep.
Okay, oops.
You do it?
There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let me open this up here. Well, again, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the invite, and it's an honor to share with you what we're doing at the Punta Gorda Rotary Club. And I wished I was talking to you from my Africa office, as I enjoy going there and working as we make things happen in villages with fresh water. Punta Gorda Rotary International Service Project. We have a global grant that we've been approved by the district and working on the international. So I want to share about that today. Water for Life Mozambique. This is our website, so you can go to it at w4lmoz.com at any time and check out more about what we're doing. The Water for Life Mozambique, we are a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization, and our sole purpose is to drill clean, fresh water wells in remote villages in northern Mozambique, Africa. Areas where very, very remote and very poor, and people, 60% of the whole population of Mozambique are without clean water. So that's what we focus on, and that's what we do. To give you an idea of where Mozambique is, this is the southern part of the African continent. You can see Mozambique is here along the Indian Ocean, just above South Africa and just underneath Tanzania. As you see there, Madagascar. That's where most of the kids know where Madagascar is, but really don't know where Mozambique lies. But Madagascar is about 300 miles east off of the coast of Mozambique in the Indian Ocean. We focus on the province of Zambezia. You can see it there with a push pin in Olinga. It's in the Maganja da Costa area district. Again, very remote, very left behind, where we operate. Very few white people are ever seen in that area. And it's a place where I come to know several years ago. I've been, for the last 20 years, working in Mozambique, taking teams over, building churches, doing lots of things. And in 2014, simply kind of like us North Americans do, we go over and do what we think they need. And one day back in 14, I said, what is it that you need the most? And the pastors and all that I worked with over there said, water. Said, we need clean water. Said, our people are coming to know God and Jesus, but still dying because of drinking dirty water. So we decided to do that. This is the Maganja de Costa area. We have now drilled 154 wells in the last 4 years in that area, and we focus on school properties and church properties. We like to put the wells where there's some ownership, and we form a well committee to and teach them and train them, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. But therefore, everyone that thirst is welcome to it. You just because you don't go to that church or that school, our pumps are free to everyone who passes by that needs water and wants water. Just a kind of a dose of reality here. According to the World Meter information as of today, the coronavirus deaths worldwide is 350,075 people. Deaths caused by water-related diseases this year alone is 338,192 people. And 20% of the children under the age of 5 die every year just because of the waterborne diseases. Their bodies aren't strong enough to be able to fight it off. And so 1 out of 5 die every year. Our team was recently working on a pump in one of the villages, and they saw this coronavirus attention. It says, Corona, attention Corona or COVID-19, always wash your hands with soap and water before pumping. So just to bring you a little taste of what we're dealing with is worldwide, not just here in the United States, but everyone around the world has been impacted by this coronavirus. I'd like to share a short video with you just to give you a flavor and be able to save time with me talking and let you see about Water for Life Mozambique.
One of the most basic human needs is the need for clean, safe water. It is absolutely essential to sustain life. Here in the West, we take clean water for granted. It is abundant and easy to find. We expect it whenever we turn on a faucet at home or out in public. That basic need is not so easy to come by in many parts of the world. In many places, it can be hard, really, really hard to find reliable, safe, clean water. And because it's so easily accessible to us, we have a difficult time understanding how a gift as simple as fresh, clean water not only improves the lives of those who have it, but it is a dramatic gift of life. Water for Life seeks to offer a hand up, clean water to communities all across the southeastern African nation of Mozambique. Mozambique ranks as the world's second poorest country, and safe, clean, easily accessible water is a scarce commodity. The most affected by the lack of clean, safe water are women and girls who, without drilled water wells in their villages, are destined to walk all day, every day, all of their lives, to fetch the only water they can find, dirty, contaminated water. Clean, safe water is literally a gift of life. It improves their diets. It dramatically improves their chances in the fight against intestinal diseases like diarrhea, cholera, and dysentery. It also improves personal hygiene, sanitation, and overall health. Clean water also allows young girls, who tend to be the primary water fetchers, to attend school every day, allowing them to finish their education. It also offers them the opportunity of growing up in a safer environment, as often they become victims of assault, rape, trafficking, or they can even be harmed by dangerous, sometimes deadly animals as they fetch water. Drilled wells are safer as the water is clean, it's closer to their homes, and most wells are drilled on church properties. In fact, the Water for Life Mozambique well drilling team is made up of nearly all pastors. In July of 2019, the village of Mwamyawa in the Maganja da Costa district was given the gift of a new well. They were originally getting their water from a relatively clear spring, but the problems they were having were the result of a low water table. As the supply would dwindle throughout the day, sometimes it would not fill again for hours. In fact, often the women and girls would head out hours before sunrise to wait and wait. Often they would be forced to go to another source, which wasn't clean and was much further away. Every day, fetching water can consume an enormous amount of energy and time, walking and carrying what water they can find. The women and young girls of Mwamyawa's life will be vastly improved by the gift of Water for Life. Every well is welcomed with shouts of joy and laughter as they know their lives are significantly improved. 60% of the people in Mozambique are still struggling to find clean, safe water. Tragically, 20%, 1 out of every 5 children, dies before their 5th birthday due to the lack of clean, safe, fresh water. Water for Life hopes to change that trajectory by focusing their efforts on clean water. Each well is estimated to serve approximately 1,200 people, pumping an average of 4,200 gallons a day. The average family size in Mozambique is 7, 2 adults and 5 children. Each well drilled has the potential to save hundreds and hundreds of young lives.
Thanks for joining me. This is Arnie Eastburn, President and CEO of Water for Life Mozambique. This is the joy that we get to do. We get to help and share with these villages, these mamas and the little girls come to collect the clean, safe water that only comes from a deep well. Thank you for joining with us. We want you to partner with us, whether it's $10 a month or $5,000. Come and join us. Donate. Help us to drill many, many more wells. We want to do 100 wells like this every year. With your help and your support, we can make that happen. 100% of your donations for Water for Life goes to a well just like this. Thank you. God bless you. And let's have fun saving lives, changing lives, and making a difference around the world. God bless. In Mozambique, this is a scene that occurs everywhere, every day, and that's the little girls that don't get to go to school because their job is to hunt for the water. And as the water table drops after the rainy season, they have to keep traveling farther and farther in order to find water that's coming out of the ground. It's pretty demeaning. This is where the little girls, as stated in the video, this is where they are often approached both by animals and by humans to take advantage of them. And this is where the fact of not being in school makes them very vulnerable. Kids will drink whatever water, and adults will also. This is not uncommon at all. You've got to have water to drink, and they're used to drinking dirty water, and some of them make it and some of them don't. In the rivers, when they collect it there, that's where they're really susceptible to crocodiles and hippos. And they really actually risk their lives in order just to get water. This is Leticia. This was before we drilled the well in her village, just the year before. She lost a leg due to a crocodile that attacked her while dipping water. If it wasn't for the fishermen that were nearby that heard her hollering and come and got her away from the crocodile, she would have lost her life that day. Now she's still carrying water. She carries it on those crutches, but the wonderful part, it's just a very short walk now to her hut from the water source, and it's clean, safe water. We see a lot of this in Africa where NGOs have gone in and drilled wells and put in submersible pumps and put in solar panels to run the pumps and put up steel structures in order to put a large storage tank on top of it. This is approximately 12 years old. Within 2 years, the pump quit working and no one knew how to fix it or repair it. And after 10 years, the whole structure, because we're in a coastal area, rusted and collapsed. And the solar panels have been in the attic of this school for all of those years, and they've not gotten any good out of it. We drilled a well at this school. This is numero uno. And you can see the difference of the happy faces and having water there in their school. And there's a big difference between the lives of the boys and the girls in Africa, and especially in Mozambique, a very Muslim cultured area. But with the clean, safe water and very short walks to get water for their family, the little girls are able to go to school and get an education and have an opportunity to change their projection in life. What we have in place today with Water for Life Mozambique, we are the working partner of the Rotary Club Global Grant. We own all the equipment. We have a trained well drilling team of Mozambicans. They live there in that area. They work with the people. They love doing what they're doing, and they're able to make an income also. We put in simple, sustainable hand pump systems. There's not much that can go wrong with it except the foot valve, and put a new bushing in now and then, about every 3 years or so. And our team is there to do it. We do have a well maintenance program. This is Craig Esterly, the president of the Punta Gorda Foundation, Rotary Club Foundation. He traveled there with me last fall and had, if you will, boots on the ground to see what's going on and be a part of our team bringing water into remote villages. This is a group in another time. This is a Rotarian, as you can see by his shirt, from Marion, Indiana. Their club donated a well and traveled over with us to see the well. And he was there while it was drilled. The man in the middle, he is my assistant and my interpreter, and he's a member of the Better Rotary Club in Mozambique, and then myself. All Rotarians coming together to make this happen and make it possible, and we do put plaques if the donors want a plaque on the pump. We put that on there, of course. One well is $6,900. One village, roughly 1,200 people, pump. One pump can pump about 4,200 gallons of water a day in a 10-hour day. Accomplishment in the last 4 years, 150, now 154 wells, hand pumps, roughly 230 million gallons of clean, safe water is pumped annually from those 150 wells. And 180,000 men, women, and children now have clean, safe water. When we talk about 1,200 people in a village, that's the number, roughly about 350 families per village, but we have no idea how many people walk for miles from other villages and other areas to come to our pumps to get water, and that's wonderful. We welcome them, but so we really don't know how many people actually benefit from the water wells. Common questions: how deep are the wells? Our average is about 100 feet deep. We hit water at about 50 feet, and we drill on down to make sure we got a solid vein of clean, fresh water. And so about 100 feet is our average depth. The water quality is wonderful. I live out here off of Washington Loop in Punta Gorda along Shell Creek, and I have a well, and I can tell you I'm envious of the water that we can provide for the villages. I wished I had as good a quality of water right here in my own house. Who has access to the water? As I've said earlier, anyone that thirsts is welcome, and it's there for them. The government pumps that they fund and have drilled by different NGOs They put a chain on them from 7 or 10 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning. They're afraid the pumps or wells are going to be pumped dry. And in some cases that actually happens, but ours are so deep. We don't drill until we hit water. We drill until we get into a very strong, deep vein of water. So we tell them and we challenge the villages when we're there, just try to pump it dry. You can't do it. And we haven't had one to go dry yet. We do have a maintenance team, our director of drilling and also our village relations guys. There on the left, we just bought a new 190 Honda last fall. For them to go and travel out and do checkups on the wells. Since it had been about 4 years, we thought we better get back out. We do with them if someone calls us, but we wanted to make the rounds and just check and make sure how they were doing. I told the guys to take one of the trucks and go and start doing it. And they said, you know, if we had a motorbike, it would be a lot cheaper to operate, and plus we could get back in the villages. And what I hadn't really stopped to think about is these villages clear and cut trees to get our trucks in there to drill the wells when we drill. Well, 3-4 years ago, now those trees are growing back and they'd have to chop them all over again to get in with our trucks. So the motorbike works out wonderful. They can get back there and they can carry the parts with them and make all the adjustments that they need. Up in the top right-hand corner, we do seminars bringing in the well committees from villages that want to have a well, and going through the application process. We train them how the pump works and how to maintain them. And then the lower picture you see where we actually have a group of people out at one of the wells that needed some adjustments and work on and showing how it's done. And we do give them one of the extra foot valves when we drill the well, and the tool, the fishing tool, in order to change it out. So they have options, but we just want to make sure that the water's always flowing and that they're not sitting there having to carry dirty water again. This is, excuse me, a couple of our team that were out doing some repairs, the ones that saw that COVID sign earlier. They do wear the mask in the villages so they don't carry any disease and the virus from one village to another. But this is simply the O-ring that one of the men is holding there. That's what goes wrong sometimes with just the sand. And this pump was about 3.5 years old. And they are there and got it fixed and everything's working very well. The International Service Project, we ask you to join the Punta Gorda Rotary Club in leading the global grant. 64% of Mozambique rural areas have no access to clean water. Water for Life Mozambique is the partner. Our target is to do 15 new water wells in 2020. Now realizing with everything that's happened, we're looking more at 2021 instead of 2020 at this point. And each well is $6,900, and 15 water wells would impact a minimum of 18,000 people with clean, safe water. To be a sponsor with us, a whole well costs $6,900, but you can see 100 families, a couple of thousand, down to one family, $20. We don't have any minimum on the participation, whatever you feel like you would want to join in and be a part of. We welcome you. We welcome the camaraderie and the partnership, and we're sure that it'll grow into something wonderful for all of us, especially those who are impacted in Mozambique. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, quote by Helen Keller. Water for Life Mozambique, you can visit us at w4lmoz.com, and we have information about the national or the global grant. At this point, I thank you for your kind attention and the opportunity to share, and I will open, well, I should say, if Julia would like to open it up for questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions before you run me out. I'll quit sharing so it opens it up here. Oops. Okay.
I got a question.
Yes.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So does it pretty much is the only thing that goes wrong most of the time is the O-ring, or do you have handles break and stuff like that?
The handles are very, very solid. The only thing that can happen is sometimes if the water level shifts a little bit, that we have to change the linkages a little, either shorten or lengthen them, but that's not a major thing. But the main thing is, like you said, that foot valve down at the bottom, just from the sand and wear and tear, will the life expectancy is about 5 years for one of those O-rings.
That's not too bad. Are the handles and the pumps, are they aluminum or metal?
They're steel. Yeah,
They're steel. Okay.
yeah, they're big, heavy galvanized pipe.
When's the rainy season over there?
It is actually through our winter time, is the early part of December through about April is the rainy season.
That's when you replenish the water table and everything.
Yes.
What's the salinity? What's the salinity like at that depth of 100 feet? Do you have much?
No, none. Yes, we haven't run into any salt water whatsoever, and we'll hit a little bit of iron now and then. But for the most part, this is all sand filtered of all the sand that's there, much like Florida, to where the water is very clean, very pure.
Last two questions. At the end of your pipe down into the ground, do you have like is it just a point end with the sift on it, or is it just you have what's at the end to sift out the sand?
What we do, very good question, Brad. What we do is we put down a 6-inch casing all the way down, in the bottom 2 sections. The bottom 20 feet is screened so that it screens out all of the sand and all. And then we put down a 2-inch plastic pipe with the check valve on the bottom down there, and that's what we use. So it's all free flow. We can pull the pipe at any time and change it or do whatever we need to because we have the casing.
So you got a pipe inside of a pipe, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I have a well too, so I understand.
Yeah.
Last question is that what's your average maintenance fee chart? What's your average maintenance expense on each well a year?
Well, we just had, excuse me, we've just started doing the maintenance on it, and the cost of getting the valves and all the materials together, and we really haven't identified what that cost is per well broken out at this point, but very little. We have the 2 guys, we have them on salary, so it's not extra money, just the gas and the bike and a few parts, and that's all that it takes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yes, you're welcome. We're very frugal. We have people that literally donate $5 a month to go towards water wells, and we want to make sure not any of that is ever wasted. Yes.
Do you have any concern that any of the wells will go dry, or have you had any of that happen?
No. That's excuse me, again, because we're going so deep. 50 feet is the water level, and we're at 100 feet minimum. Yeah.
How long does it take to drill the well from start to finish?
When the most effort is digging out the circulating ponds or pits there that we circulate the water and force down, to actually drill, and that takes couple of 2 or 3 hours in the morning. The drilling process itself is about 2 hours to 3 hours. We're just drilling through sand, a borehole, and so it doesn't take very long. And then we seal it up that night, and the next morning our cement guys come in and put in the 8-foot sanitation apron to keep any surface water from getting down. And a day and a half later is when we go in and set the pump and put the pipe in, and they have water.
You mentioned that you had 15 that you wanted to proceed with over this next year, roughly. Have you identified the locations that you'll put those yet?
We have projected out for 5 years, and so we have a lot of them out that we've qualified. And one of the things when we qualify, is we make sure that we're not drilling a well right next to another one within at least a mile away, and that the people, the well committee and the village has arms around it, if you will, and that they will take care of it. And so there's factors that we look at there, but we haven't said this is where we're going to put the next 15. We're drilling all the time. So whenever those dollars come together, the next 15 wells at the villages, that's who will get them.
Describe these well committees.
The well committee is, I'm sorry.
The well committees in the
Yes.
villages.
What it is, the chief, he designates people, about 5 to 6 people that are the well committee. That's who we sit down and that's who we train and talk with. They're there when we drill the wells. They're a part of the digging. They're part of putting the pipes in the ground. They're part of all of the construction of it and see it all put together so that they have a working knowledge of what it's all about for the pump and all. That helps us a lot on when they call us and say we've got a problem, we know it's problem over their head, so we go out. But that's where that commitment is there to keep everything going and to look after the well and let us know if there's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, ownership,
Yep.
very important.
So it looks like you've got the 154 wells. Is that over like about 20 square miles?
It's farther than that. We're about 200 miles from our farthest well points.
Okay. So are you hitting the same water table on all those? I mean, or are you hitting different underground lakes, or in the major area where most of ours are is the same water table. We drill in granite also. We have all the rock drilling equipment. We even have a machine that we bought out of Germany that shoots down through 2,500 feet of solid granite and tells us where the water table is and the quality of the water, how much salt and iron and all of that, so that we know what we're into, because we can't go too deep and be able to handle it with a hand pump. So that's why it's important. Right.
We don't want to waste money drilling and then have to walk away. So that will vary when we get into rocky areas, and but we've drilled in about everything now.
Amazing.
So how culturally, how well are the villages, I mean, obviously accepting, but how does it change and impact is it a noticeable change in impact once you've been back to a village?
What
attitude wise, I think is what I was asking.
What we, what we see is everyone's lifted up. When you start having clean water, the first thing that you see is the little kids, the little girls now can start attending school regularly.
Yeah.
Having water there, the health conditions of the entire villages dramatically increases very quickly. Their productivity rises. Now they can put water on gardens. Their gardens that are there at their house, their vegetables and all. Think about it. You wouldn't carry water for 3 or 4 miles, 40 pounds of water on your head and pour it on a plant. So that's what suffers. They use that water to cook or drink, to wash. So everything changes. Now they have food that they grow, plenty to grow and eat, and actually extra to take to town to sell or trade for the things that they need for necessities. So that changes. Everything, the whole area. I tell you real quick, we were in a church here last year where they were in just a little grass hut when we drilled the well, and went back a year later and they had footings down. They were making blocks. They make their own blocks in those areas. And to get to the quick of it, they built a beautiful church there themselves. By the productivity, the pastor told us everyone became so much more productive, and the church grew because people are coming to the church to pump water and all. And the tithes and the donations were up enough, and that they built this church building themselves. and have even planted 4 more churches off of that. But it's all based upon the productivity. When people are healthy and they have the tools, they'll work and they'll work hard.
Very good. Does anybody else have questions?
The only question I would have is there any, do you work with a central government that lets you go into the area, or do you work with each individual village separately?
We work with the villages separately, right along with the local government. The local government loves us. The fact that here 2 years ago, what they call the administrator, that's the highest official in that area, she wrote us a letter and thanked us. It was the first year after having so many wells. It was the first year that no cholera cases were noted. And that's the first time ever. And she gave Water for Life a great amount of credit just because of the more sealed wells and the healthiness of it. So they love it that we're there drilling. They don't have the monies, even the government, to drill these wells. And the fact that we're there and giving it to them and making it possible, it makes the government officials look wonderful. It makes everyone more productive and healthy. So we have their full blessings. We are a registered NGO, a non-government organization in the country of Mozambique, and certified and registered to do business throughout the country of Mozambique. So we've done it right.
How long have y'all been going at this? How long have you been doing it?
We've been drilling for 4 years. Took me a year to raise the funds to buy all the equipment and get everything set up, and with the board of directors. And I want to say this, thank you for asking that. We have a board of directors that donated all the funds to buy all the equipment. And we bought it out of Bangladesh and shipped it into Mozambique. They continue to cover all of our overhead, all of our operating cost comes from our board of directors donations. So 100% of all the donations for water goes to water in Mozambique.
What time of the year do you usually go over to do the wells, or is it throughout the year?
The team are drilling all the time, but I try to go over around May, and then October is the 2 months that I try to go over, and I take people over that want to see their wells or see what we're doing, or board members. And if there's business, we got to buy trucks or something, I go do that. But yeah. So you might notice that's why I had that first picture. I had to try to live a little bit in Africa. I haven't been able to go since last October. I'm anxious to get back over.
So do you pretty much have to buy elsewhere and ship everything in?
Yes. Nothing's made in Mozambique. Everything is shipped in. In fact, we go to Malawi, which is about 350 miles away, and we take our big truck and we go and buy several pumps and all the pipes at a time. And we haven't been able to go buy pumps or pipe now because of the coronavirus. The border is shut down. So we haven't been able to go buy more pumps and pipe, and that's about to change. So we got a lot of drilling to catch up on.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
Arnie? Yes. Arnie, I see, I'm looking at the grant center now. This particular grant number, you've got a $70,000 budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so it looks like you've got several clubs. I guess this is just a working document in its draft form at this point.
Yes. Yes.
So your best guess, how much funding do you have towards this particular effort?
Right now we have, I think it's 17,000 cash, and we just got another commitment for another 7,000 from a club member and another club last week. And we've got several clubs that are talking with their boards about joining in. So we really don't know how big it's going to get out. And that's one of the things that I need to talk with you about. Where's our cutoff for the year of doing the swap and all? So we're working hard to try to fill that hopper as fast as we can.
Well, let's have that conversation tomorrow.
Great, I will. Great.
Yeah.
Arnie, do you know a similar group called Living Waters International?
I've heard of them.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
They partner with some manufacturers or companies. Do you have anyone like that that's stepped up yet?
No, we're little guys and we like to work with little guys. No, I'm sorry. All of our, 60% of our wells have been drilled by people that just individuals donating $5, $20, $30, $100 a month. And that's a beautiful thing. We'd love to get some big grants. We'd love to get bigger to do the 100 a year. That would be wonderful. That's a goal of ours. But no, we aren't. We're not into the big ball games at this point. But we'd like to get on the field anyway.
Good question. Any other questions for Arnie? All right. Well, Arnie, thank you for coming and joining us and sharing the word and letting us know what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. God bless.
Thank you, Arnie.
Thank you. All right, guys. I know we have a few things. We met last week for Red Nose Day. Thank you, Tracy, for putting it together and promoting. You did an awesome job. I really appreciate it. And we had a really good turnout both at Sky Academy and at the Boys and Girls Club. More than enough hands on deck. It was wonderful to see, and it was good just to see people. And today was from 10 to 12, the XX boxes of food. When we were at the Boys and Girls Club, they were handing out boxes of non-perishable goods from the Harry Chapin Food Bank to the families. And they had, I think, 8 boxes left over. They were closing down their food program and gearing up for summer. So I took the boxes to the Jubilee Center today. So if you haven't been on social media, go on to Facebook and share. And we're also on Instagram. I put it out there too. So we're trying to get the word out. And hopefully everyone has seen it, liked it, shared, or participated, one of the above. Deb, I know we've sent out a couple surveys. Do you want to give an update of where you are with surveys?
Sure. Well, as of now, we've had roughly about 25 respondents on both surveys. So if you happen to talk with anybody, or if you haven't already completed, the most important one right now is the reopening, because we're trying to gauge, where we go with this and how we maneuver going forward. So your responses are very much needed and welcomed. We want to know your feedback and how you feel about it as we make decisions. I think Tracy sent out an additional link this morning. Did we send that via text as well?
No.
Okay. Let's do that either tonight or first thing in the morning. It seems as though sometimes people are easier to catch. It's taken about roughly 2 minutes, I think, to go through the questions. So maybe if we shoot it out via text, we'll catch a few more that, it just maybe slipped their mind or got buried in their email box. Aside from that, we spoke with the Elks this past week about their reopening process. They are very open and willing to help us get back to meeting there. They did have the rooms set with the tables distanced at the proper regulations. The tables are currently set at 4 to a table. We did talk about changing that to 3 to a table if we needed to. They also said there will be no buffet until further notice, until they start to open things back up. So it would be a plated lunch or dinner. let's see, they have gone through and done the cleaning. And Kathy, no, they haven't cleaned the ceiling tiles. I think it was you that mentioned that. But they have done the cleaning of the ductwork and other things and throughout their closing time. It looked fine to us at this point. We're still in conversations, waiting, you know, all of our responses from you guys and how you feel and how we move forward. And we did talk about also adjusting the meals to be a little simpler, a little bit lighter, to be maybe 3 different options and probably cold options. So maybe it'd be a club sandwich, you know, some other sort of sandwich or soup, and then, you know, a salad that you could have an option to have a chicken breast on if you wanted to. Doug was very receptive to that and open to that. So we're still having those conversations as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a picture. Let me see if I can open it and screen share. Because I thought they did a very good job of, it's not pretty, but you'll get the gist. They did a really good job of spreading out. Oh, where'd my picture go? They did a very good job of spreading out the tables. They're in the process of, well, so much for me trying to be organized. They spread out the tables really well. They had it organized real well. They were in the process of taking a bunch of stuff to storage to really clean up and open up the space so that there was plenty of room. I mean, you could be at a table and there's a good 6 to 10 feet to walk around. So they've been very aware of how hesitant people are to congregate, and so they've really made attempts to try to work with us, and they were just happy to do whatever. I think we were tentatively talking about maybe
mid-July or mid-June.
Mid-June, so maybe the 15th, 16th, whatever that week is our first in-person meeting. See how it goes, and then we would also do then June the installation banquet. So we'll work toward getting onto a normal schedule, but it'll be a work in progress.
Right. Now, based on
that survey,
yeah,
I got one email survey. I don't remember another one.
It was.
Okay. I'll get you. We'll get it back out again. So it was just a kind of, out of the people that did respond, about 85% are in favor of the in-person meetings. And about 60% were in favor of starting to go back. Now, you know, we're not done with that survey yet. And, you know, we are looking at all your comments that were made and all of that stuff too. So we're trying to make it as comfortable as we can for everybody. We know that there are some people that are still at risk or are in-house with somebody that is at risk that are not going to be able to take those risks. So we're trying to make this so we can accommodate everybody. Right.
I don't know if you remember, right before Christmas or so, they put in a brand new huge TV on the wall. It's a smart TV with all the bells and whistles. We talked to them about getting a Chromecast to where we could have Zoom up on the TV and have maybe a camera or phone set up in the back of the room. So if someone had to stay home, you know, like Carolyn Clayball, her husband is ill. She just can't come and meet in person. It's too risky. So she would be able to either see a recording via Zoom or see the meeting live via Zoom. So we want to make sure people are still engaged, and we hear from a lot of people that they do watch the meetings afterwards. So we want to not lose somebody just because of their inability to come meet in person. Brad.
So we're talking about they're talking about redoing the tables and everything. Are we going to have to redo anyhow the registration desk when we originally come in? Have we thought on that?
Yeah. Yes. Right now they're coming in through that bar area door. They're only using that door.
Okay. So when we come up to our table where we sign in, and pay and everything like that.
They do have the little desk thing there, or we'll have a table that's pushed back so we won't have to congregate.
Gotcha.
Well, and at the direction of RI, that we have to register everybody, and you have to sign in so that if there was, God forbid, any cases or any issues, that it can be traced and information can be gotten out to those people that may have been in that room. So we do have some additional things that we will have to go through. I know that the Elks has instituted, all the staff is being temperature monitored, all that kind of stuff is all being done, just like in most of the restaurants. So, we should be pretty safe. And
they basically ask that once you're moving around, you have a mask on, you sit down at your table, you take your mask off, you have your lunch. Before you leave and walk around, you put it back on. Just because they will be going in and out the same doors, they're other members. So they just.
Are they taking temperatures? Are they taking temperatures of everybody coming in and out too, Julia?
No, just staff.
That would be our responsibility if we decided to do that. It's a possibility. We would determine, what one of those thermometers would cost.
If you can find one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
I do have a huge jar of hand sanitizer, and I figure we could put that on the check-in desk. So if you're fiddling and writing a check and touching stuff, then you can do hand sanitizer before you go sit down to eat. So I think it's just gonna be a work in process, but everyone needs to just do what they can to stay safe.
Right, and hopefully this continues to lessen over time. We're still seeing some new cases and whatnot, but overall, if you look at Charlotte County, numbers are going up, but Englewood itself is really not that bad as far as the number of cases. So we're hopeful that, in our little area, that we'll continue to do the right things and keep those numbers down.
No pool parties.
No pool parties.
Yeah.
What kind of thermometers?
Say what, Tony?
What kind of thermometers would you need?
Not rectal.
One of the digital read ones.
I have one of those.
Do you?
The old mercury ones.
I asked is
don't share.
I had to say it.
The reason I asked, I have one for Emerson. It's an infrared thermometer that you put about an inch away from the forehead.
That's the one that we need. Yeah.
I guess they're probably hard to get a hold of now.
Yeah.
Impossible for 2 months.
You got one if we need it.
Okay.
I do too.
We might have to take you up on that until we can get one for the club.
Right, and it's possible that the Elks will let us use theirs as well. We haven't asked that question yet. We're just trying to gauge where we're at with them and where we're at with the membership, and see if we can start to put the pieces back together.
They are showing them available, like on Amazon.
Okay.
For Monday
delivery.
delivery.
We'll just order one.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Ask. There's some that are good and some are really crappy. So it's best to almost ask somebody at one of the pharmacies what's the good one, or what are the good brands, because there are some really worthless.
So Carol, what's a good brand? Which one do you have?
I don't remember.
All right, well, email me and let me know. Same for you, Tony.
We gotta ask Jackie Nadler. She could tell.
Sure.
That's
Best for.
Yeah.
Tony's getting his.
What brands?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ask
That's a responsible parent.
Does it have a brand?
Put your glasses on.
The brand is made in China.
Right. Ask Emerson, he'll tell you.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Right.
Ask Emerson.
He'll tell you.
show you how to work it too if he's a kid. Deb, do you want to go into your other poll that you were doing? Just in case someone has not received it.
As far as
the other Survey Monkey that you did for your.
Yeah, that was really for planning purposes, which is really just to kind of gauge what the feeling of the club was on a couple of different topics. And I think we'll continue to do these as issues arise and things come to our attention. So, you know, and all of these are 100% anonymous. We're not interested in who said what. We're interested in how do we fix things and how do we move forward and be better. But it was about the same amount of responses. And I understand that everybody's busy and all of our lives have been turned upside down. So it's understandable, but we'll send out another couple reminders to everybody and via email and text so that you can get into those quick and easy. And we're hoping, I'll present all that stuff to the board. And that's, what we'll use to make some decisions. I do have a board planning meeting coming up at the beginning of June to finalize or hope to finalize my incoming year. And as you notice—
what is your tentative date for that? Just so people who might be impacted can put it on their calendars.
Well, the planning meeting is June 7th. And that's at 11 o'clock. That's at my clubhouse. We have room to space out there for the board members that are 12 of us. And also in the survey, if you did not click into it, we did ask the question about the installation banquet. I've been working on that, and we have identified June 27th as the date for that. The details are yet to be determined based on what the board decides and what information that we have to going forward. But it also did look like at this point, most of the respondents are in favor of an in-person installation banquet, which thank you, because I really don't want to do it any other way, but I will.
Okay. I think the only other thing that is out there is I was going to send out an email today. Didn't happen. I'll send it out in the morning. I sent it to the board. Brad Alt has offered to let us use his backyard for a movie night. He has staked off his yard like 12 by 12 squares so that everyone could bring a chair, the cooler, have their own space and watch a movie. I did hear back from a few board members that are just concerned that May is beautiful. June, you start to hit rainy, hot, buggy season. And so we shall see. I'll throw it out to the members and see how many we get back and see what the response is. We're looking for, there's space for like 12 to 14 families. So we should have plenty of room for everybody. I just want to make sure we get enough response for
there's enough. Yeah, there's enough room. I got 12 to 14 places staked out. Each stakeout place can take no more than 2 people, really, just so that everybody can see and everybody's distanced apart. So.
What do you have? A big screen TV?
I got basically I've got a big sheet that I project onto, and then I've got speakers and DVD player. It's like a movie, and it plays really good. I've already done it once already, a couple times actually already. It works really good. Just no rain and not a lot of wind, but other than that.
Right. Well,
what kind of popcorn are you serving?
I had I blew out my microwave making popcorn. So you have to bring your own now.
And Karen and I share a space.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
I want my own space.
All right.
You can see well from every spot.
Yeah, I walked the yard. It looks like, I think it would be a nice layout. I think it would be a good layout. So we shall see. But I'll send out the information to everybody if you can look at it and see. Our thought would be to do it this Saturday with a rain date the following weekend. And I think after that, it'll just be too hot to do it. So we'll go from there. We would be doing it at 8:45 at night. Sunset is around 8:30ish, 8:45. So that's right about the time it gets dark. So hour and a half, come watch a movie, go home. Just a chance to get out and about.
Yeah, I'd give Julie a selection of about 20 movies, let her pick, and then, you know, like I said, between an hour and a half and 2 hours would be the movie length.
Yep. All right. Is there any other business? Does anybody else have anything going on? We do have a board meeting coming up. I've emailed the board, so everyone should have gotten that email. Anything else you can think of? All right, let me see if I can screen share the 4-way test.
Kathy, my webmail won't come up.
It's on your Gmail anyway.
Say what?
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to Blaine.
Okay. Well, Barbara, would you be willing to lead us in the 4-way test? Let me unmute you.
Is it working?
Working.
Oh, okay. The 4-way test are the things we do and say. 1, is it the truth?
The truth.
2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial?
Beneficial to all concerned.
Yay.
Good going.
All right. Ding, ding. I missed my bell. I'll get my bell back just in time to hand it over. Hand over the gavel. Good night. Good seeing everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.